Hey everybody, this is Levi Clay and I'm back again for another quick live lesson. These things are a lot of fun. It enables me to talk about something without any real preparation, just demonstrating obvious things that I'm aware of on the neck and hopefully giving you something to think about. This time I'm going to present the idea of arpeggio application technique and trying to shut down the idea of systems on the guitar. Obviously you will have seen a lot of me talking about the cage system in the past. This has never been really because that's the system that I believe that you should stick to or limit yourself to. It's out of the defense that there's no such thing as a bad system and you can find flaws in any system. Lots of you out there I know will be 3-note per string players, and I've got plenty of 3-note per string vocabulary in my playing, especially when I need to play fast. Examples being all over the Hellcat Molly album, like, well, this. Definitely some shred going on there. Now, the exact concept that I wanted to present here today is arpeggios, and how arpeggios, when you try and limit yourself and stick to a system, don't actually really work. I've seen some people, will mention no names because I'm tired of the names, talking about the ideas that something like caged arpeggios are difficult to play and not, really good for you. So what I wanted to look at is what happens when you try and play arpeggios strictly within the 3-note per string system. So that's an example. Let's take C minor, Aeolian mode, starting with our first finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. Now if I play the 3-note per string system, that will give me this pattern. Now when I play the arpeggio contained within that fingering, we'd have the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the root, you then have the 3rd here on the 4th fret of the B string, your 5th would be on the 8th fret of the B string, and then your root would be also on the 8th fret of the high E string. So you have this. Quite an awkward one to play. Not ideal, though I'm sure you could build that one up to speed. Let me try that one more time. Feels quite awkward to me. Obviously, that's not the way that a shredder would play that arpeggio. A shredder, for the sake of efficiency, would move the 5th from the 8th fret on the B string to the 3rd fret on the high E string and give you this. Whoops. As I say, not much of a sweep picker, but that would be your fingering. Fits nicely around that caged form. So that would be when you get your root note on the 1st string. If we take that same concept and apply it to the 3-note per string Aeolian scale for C, up here, starting with your 1st finger on the 8th fret of the low E string, you might think of this as being shape 1 of the 3-note per string system. That would give you this scale. When I do that again, if we stack the intervals where they would fall strictly within that scale, remember the idea here is to present the idea that staying strictly to one system is never going to benefit your playing. So we would have root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd. Here's where things get really weird. The 5th would be here on the 12th fret of the G string. You'd then have the 3rd here, the root on the 13th fret of the B string. And then the flat 3rd up here at the 11th fret of the high E string. So you get this very strange shape. Try and hit that note again. I'm sure you could play this fast, but to me, and to many people, that's going to seem like a bit of a ridiculous shape. But that is what happens when you stick very strictly to the 3-note per string system and don't consider that there are things outside of your system. Here would be the way I'm sure most of you would probably play that, actually, in reality. Probably should work on my sweep picking. Not the easiest shape to sweep in, well, anyone's opinion, just because there's so much rolling bar technique in order to pull that one off. Okay, and finally, let's jump up to what might number-wise you'd call this, I guess, the 4th shape in the 3-note per string system. Again, in C, my root note would be on my little finger, but if I wanted to stay strictly within that 3-note per string pattern, I'd jump down to the 6th here on the 12th fret of the A string, and I would play, yeah. Sorry, Aeolian. Yeah. Flat 7. Feels very strange to me to not play a scale starting on the root note. If I start on the root note, so that would be our scale. And again, if you look at if I play very strictly within that scale, you'd have the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Again, I don't think that staying strictly within the system is really helping you here. It makes more sense to move that 2nd note on the B string across to the high E string, and then you would have and what we have here, if you look at the top of each of those arpeggios, is your classic Malmsteen 3-note per string sweeps. Sorry, C. Quite tricky for me, as I say, not being a sweep picker. That's the shapes that you'd expect to see Malmsteen or Jason Becker play. And the same thing would be true of the 5-note variations, 5-string variation. Jason will probably put the flat 3rd here. And then, yeah. So there we have 3-note per string sweep picked arpeggios, and drawing the idea from it that they're not actually as easy as you might think if you stick strictly within the system. So what can we take from this? Don't stick strictly to any system. A system will result in predictability and a systematic approach to your playing. There'll be nothing inspired because you'll be sticking very rigidly to a system. If you want to play C minor, what's wrong with playing I've deliberately not limited myself to staying within any system. One of the biggest things that any guitar teacher ever needs to teach students, what students will come to you and ask you for help with, is how do I break out of the box? The problem is try not to put yourself in the box in the first place and be aware of the bigger picture at all times. Don't limit yourself to a system, guys. It will only ever hurt your playing. Hopefully you've enjoyed this short lesson. If you have, please do give it a share. It was brought to you by Thank You Scientist and the Elicorn I'll be riding the Ellicorn today, listening to their fantastic new album, Stranger Heads Prevail. Well worth checking out. Tom Mondo, fantastic modern guitar player, super prog guitar player, but also a great jazz player as well. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Like I say, please do share and subscribe, and I will see you on another one of these spontaneous live web type lessons soon. Peace out.